Hey everyone, and welcome to June's TBR Assemble. If you don't know what TBR Assemble is, I'll leave a link up above to my original video where I do the full explanation, but it is essentially my monthly Avengers based TBR game. And on top of this month's prompts, I've also got to fit everything into the Clear Your Ship readathon. So let's go through this month's Gwenpool challenge, then into the roles and exactly what I'm reading for Clear Your Ship. So this month's Gwenpool challenge is taking me to AvengerCon because I just fancy living my fangirl dreams this month, and the prompt for this one is to read a book that will fulfill your fangirl dreams. So I'm going for Running Close to the Wind by Alexandra Rowland, and this one is a queer pirate fantasy, and it says magic, monsters and mayhem on the high seas. And the reason why this is covering specifically the idea of fangirl dreams is because this one has been described as being Our Flag Means Death meets Six of Crows, and if you know me, Six of Crows is one of my favourite books of all time. I absolutely love it. And then Our Flag Means Death is one of my favourite shows. I am obsessed with it, and I'm still annoyed that it got cancelled because it didn't deserve to get cancelled. It really didn't deserve to get cancelled, but that's another point entirely. Either way, this book is combining those two things, which I absolutely adore, and I am now also on the blog tour for this book as well, so I need to read it anyway. So it's all just sort of fitting in really well at the moment. So this is what I'm going to be reading for that Gwenpool prompt. And now onto the TBR Assemble roles. Today we're going to be using a Moon Knight because I just missed Moon Knight and I really wanted to use him. So we're going to go to 78 where we were last time, and let's go roll number 1. Was it off the screen, but it was a 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fan fiction, brilliant start. Roll number 2, please be a 3 or higher. 4, brilliant. So 1, 2, 3, 4, we're at the top, which means I can now pick any cards I want because I've completed the tower. So I'm going to start with comics. Let's see what we're going to go for. Right, I don't really want to reread an old favourite at the moment. Don't want to read an entire event. That is for next month. Well, actually though, I do need to read, thinking about it. This is a maybe because I do need to finish off the entire Trials of X, but we shall see. Underrated character, physical comic, non-Marvel comic. Yeah, I think what I'm going to go for now, because I know I've got a few that I desperately need to read that are non-Marvel comics, so I'm going to go for Deadpool, a non-Marvel comic. My first prompt was Deadpool, which is to read a non-Marvel comic, so I'm going for I Feel Awful Thanks by Lara Pickle, and this one is about a young witch who has secured her dream job in London with a coven, and things aren't going well for her, but she starts feeling really doubtful of herself. She starts feeling really sad and fatigued and things like this, and then she starts seeing a professional and learning that in order to take care of herself, she must know herself first, which sounds really fun, really interesting, and really relatable, so very excited to read this. And because this came as part of my Waypoint Books full moon subscription box, along with a lot of these books on this TBR because I am desperate to catch up with those books, this is counting for the prompt for Clear Your Shit of a book recommended to me by someone because Hannah recommended me this book, so definitely counts. Then let's go for some fantasy because there always needs to be some fantasy on my TBR, so don't want to let the arrow decide. I'm not thinking about siblings. Ooh, vlog project. Do I have any vlog projects coming up? No, I'm taking the month off from vlogging, I think. Demons and Witches. Also tempting. Oh, Morally Grey. I know exactly what I'm going to go for Morally Grey, so I'm going to go for Morally Grey. My next prompt was Magneto, which is to read a Morally Grey character in a fantasy, so I'm going for Godly Heathens. This one is by H.E. Edgman, and this one is all about Jem, who is a non-binary teenager who starts having these haunting dreams of magic and violence that have always felt too real, and then one day a new girl comes to town called Willa May, and they seem to know things about Jem that they never told anyone else, and then they start being attacked by someone claiming to be the goddess of death, and it turns out that these two main characters are actually reincarnated gods who've known and loved each other across lifetimes, and Jem actually hasn't always been the best god, and then they've made a lot of enemies, and to me that screams Morally Grey. I've heard amazing things about this one. It sounds right up my alley. I cannot wait to read this. And it's also counting for the prompt of favourite genre for Clear Your Ship. Then thinking about it, I'm going to do another fantasy, and we're going to go for free choice because that is always a good option. I then picked up Mobius free choice, so I went for A Drop of Venom by Sajni Patel, and this one is a retelling of Medusa by way of Indian mythology, which sounds absolutely incredible. And it's also counting for the free space prompt as well for Clear Your Ship, because why not double up on the free choices? Let's go for some own voices as well, because you can never go wrong with own voices. Fun book. Nothing is particularly grabbing me in terms of fun at the moment. Red cover, maybe. Different universe. Oh no. I know. Legion, a book with hair-raising scenes. I know exactly what I'm going for this one. I then picked up Legion, which is a book with some hair-raising scenes, and I've gone for Camp Damascus by Chuck Tingle for this one, because this one I feel like is definitely going to have my hair standing on end, because this one is about a God-fearing young lady called Rose Darling who can't stop puking up flies, and her parents are ignoring her visions of an eerie woman with sagging pale skin who watches from the woods. And for me, that feels like that is definitely going to have like my hair standing on end, so it definitely works for this prompt. And it is also going to be counting for a book with drama for the readathon prompts, because I feel like this is going to be quite a dramatic book, to be honest. I feel like it's going to be very dramatic, so I'm counting it for that prompt. I'm going to go through own voices as well again, because I quite like the idea of going for another own voices. I think I'm going to go for Jimmy Woo, Asian author or main character, because I definitely have a Asian author in mind that I really need to read, so that is also going on the list. Next I have Jimmy Woo, which is to read a book with an Asian author or main character, so I'm going for The Last Blood Carver by Vanessa Lee, and this one is about Nika, who is a blood carver, which means she has the power to heal or harm with just a touch. She's seen as a monster by everyone around her, and then she is captured by the criminal underworld and sold to the highest bidder, and what she's wanted for is to heal the only witness to a aristocratic girl's father. And this sounds really, really interesting, and I really can't wait to read this one. It's also accounting for the prompt of a book with a map, because as we can see here, there is a map in this book. So really intrigued by this one, and really interested to see what this is going to do, because this sounds right up my alley, and it sounds like it's going to be really dark, and I'm really here for like a dark fantasy book right now. So really excited for this. And then finally, let's go for a retelling, because I have one specifically on my list at the moment. I think this is going to cover it quite well. Wolverine, a book that is one of the newest ones on my TBR. Then my final prompt was Wolverine, which is to read the newest book on my TBR. That is a retelling, so I'm going for The Other Side of Never. This is a collection of short stories edited by Marie O'Regan and Paul Kane, and this one is a collection of science fiction, fantasy and horror stories based on the tale of Peter Pan and Wendy, and I love a dark Peter Pan retelling. I absolutely love it, so really excited to see what this is going to do. There's a whole load of authors in here, including A.C. Wise, who I read her book Wendy Darling and really, really enjoyed that. There's also Kirsty Logan, Claire North, Edward Cox, Alison Littlewood, people like this, and it just sounds really, really interesting and really, really fun, and I'm really, really excited to read this. And this is also covering the prompt of a book with a white cover, because the cover is pretty white, so I'm going for it. I've just had to turn the light on because it just got really dark outside all of a sudden, and now it's absolutely chucking it down. But anyway, there was a couple of other prompts that I haven't covered for Clear Your Shit, so I'm going to quickly go through those. The first prompt to mention is a book that's part of a series, so I'm going for Radiant Black Volume 2, which is obviously the second one in the Radiant Black series, and it is also part of a larger universe called the Massive Verse, which is essentially Image Comics' answer to superheroes, and I really enjoyed the first one. I also really enjoyed the Dead Lucky, if I remember rightly, that was what it was called. But anyway, another comic in this overarching universe as well, and now I'm really excited to continue on with the series and see what I think about it, so very excited for this one. Next is to read a book that you want to read because of another piece of media, and because I've been mainlining the X-Men movies as well as X-Men 97, and I'm also in preparation now for Deadpool and Wolverine, I'm going to be reading Trials of X, and specifically trying to finish Trials of X. I've got about 5 volumes left, I think it is, which should be reasonably, hopefully fingers crossed, touch wood, doable to actually finish this month, and then I don't have that hanging over me as I'm reading all of the rest of the Deadpool and Wolverine stuff I'm planning on reading next month. So fingers crossed on this one, I'll finish Trials of X. I'm not going to try and start Fall of X or anything yet. That is a problem for later. Right now, I just want to focus on Trials, and if I finish Trials, I'll be really happy. And then the final prompt is a book you have low expectations for, and for this I'm saying Sweet Tooth because I'm really not sure about this artwork. I find that with comics, the artwork either makes it or breaks it for me, and yeah, this artwork isn't doing it for me. The artwork is really not doing it for me. I know the story will because I really enjoyed the TV show, and actually if you don't know what Sweet Tooth is about, it is about a young boy who is a hybrid child. He is part deer, and a whole load of hybrid children have been born over the last few years after a virus has absolutely devastated the human population, and they have been hunted down and things like this for various reasons, including xenophobia and just prejudice and things like this. And we're following Gus as he is going around with a man called Big Man as they're trying to find his mother, and it's a really sweet story in the Netflix series. It's an incredibly dark story, I will say, but I really enjoy it. And so I've really wanted to read the comic, and there's no better time to do it than when the final season's about to start, but it's just the artwork. The artwork is definitely not doing it for me, so I'm a little bit worried about the artwork, but I'm going to read it anyway and see what I think, because I know I'm probably going to like the story, but the artwork is really sort of throwing me off, to say the least. And then the final book I have to mention doesn't have anything to do with any other prompt whatsoever. I'm just reading it because then it completes out everything Hannah has sent me recently, so I don't have it hanging over my head, and that is The Fox Maidens by Robin Hart. This one is following Kai, who has always dreamt of being a warrior, but she's always looked down upon because she's a girl, and it turns out that her destiny is already written, and it's got something to do with the Gamino, which I apologise right now if I mispronounced that, but it is the legendary nine-tailed fox demon, and now Kai is desperately trying to find a way to escape her fate and things like this, which sounds really interesting. It's based on Korean folklore, and I don't think I've ever read anything to do with Korean folklore before, so I'm really excited to dive in, see what I think, and learn something new. And this just sounds really fun, really interesting. I really like the artwork in here as well. It looks like this, and just generally I'm very excited to read it, and I am hoping I'm going to get to it this month. With everything else, I don't know, but fingers crossed. And this is the stack I'm going to be reading this month, and it is quite heavy, quite big. I haven't actually run the numbers yet as to how much I've got to read every single day before I can finish all of this. I'll put it here so you can sort of see for yourself, but I'm a little bit nervous, but I'm hoping I can read some of these really quickly, and I'm going to have to put this down because it's really heavy. But yeah, that is my entire TBR. I'm a little bit scared of it, but we shall see how things go. It doesn't matter if I don't finish all of it, I will just transfer it over into the next month, but we shall see. Either way, that is my entire June TBR. It's probably a little bit ambitious, but if we're anything, it is ambitious here. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me what's on your June TBR. I'd love to know. Or if you don't have that much time, leave me a pirate ship emoji down below to let me know that you're here. I'll also leave a link as well down below to all my social media if you want to check it out, including to the Comic Book Sanctum, which is my website dedicated to Marvel Comics if you want to check that out, as well as the link as well down below to my bookish Etsy store if you want to treat yourself to something bookish today. Or if you just want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time everyone, bye!